Hey there, Sherry Kirchhoff, Hippie Eclectic Hope. Here's part 2 of my adventures in contacting law enforcement. You saw in part 1 how I was directed to an empty phone line. Now, this isn't something that happens by accident here in Cutbank, Montana. The police department is a building that's smaller than the hotel I'm living in. And so when dispatch receives a call where a specific officer is requested, they can literally either talk or walk across a room to reach the officer who's, being inquired about. And so to be put on hold a couple of times and then having the order to direct me to an empty phone line that doesn't have voicemail is a powerful message of we don't care about your safety. you know so and then here's the follow-up where I actually do get hold of the chief of police, and there's a really nice bombshell bit of info at the end, so stay tuned. Okay, I found the direct line to the chief of police as I was directed yesterday to call the non-emergency number and ask to be transferred to the chief, and this was the result of that. So I found the chief's direct desk number now, so I will give that a call. Hey there, my name is Sherry Kirchhoff. I've been trying to call in regards to police misconduct on Friday evening.
Okay, what happened?
Well, I arrived home from work. I unfortunately live at Mike Burns's Penguin Hotel since escaping human trafficking in Colorado. And I arrived home from work at the West Side Mall. I have a jewelry store between Norman's and the Village Restaurant. So Burns family and Louie and all that, I've been documenting the issues of discrimination and faulty maintenance, illegal eviction attempts, all kinds of harassment, using the cops to swat me, making false reports, etc. And so I've been documenting all this over the past several months. And so when I returned home, the Burns family and Louie and the people in charge here, in short, had barred the parking at the back of the building, disabled accessible parking, which is something they frequently do as part of the harassment and illegal eviction campaign. And so I parked my vehicle the closest I could to the entrance to my residence and, proceeded coming in home. Louis came in maybe 15 minutes later trying to pound my door in. If you don't move your car, I'm going to have it towed. And I'm just asking, where am I supposed to park it? Because you have barred the disabled accessible parking. And he's not giving me an answer. He's just telling me that he's going to tow my car. And so I got that on video, and I called, I'm in the process of transferring from T-Mobile to an Obama phone, and so I wasn't able to dial the non-emergency police number from my phone because it kept getting caught up on the old T-Mobile SIM card. So in haste, I had to call the 911 dispatch since this was an urgent event of him trying to have my car stolen because I have the audacity to park at home. And so I called for rescue on this and immediately went to my car to protect it from Louis, coming up on it. And so, 911 dispatch, clearly heard him screaming and issuing threats and everything at me. And so by the time I had made it to my car and locked the doors and everything and secured myself safely, Louis had made a call alleging that I was cussing him out, issuing violent threats. He fears for his life. I'm going to get him, which was already disproven by me on the 911 dispatch call and on video, that the only one who was cussing and issuing any threats was Louis LaRoque, the new manager here, who's been pretending to be the owner, and he also previously pretending to be a sheriff's deputy, with false knowledge of a case I was in a couple years ago. And, so by the time police arrived, they had no interest in Louis attempting to steal my car and harass me and illegally evict me out of my home, which was what's been going on for several months. The cops' sole interest was in the false report of my profanity and violent threats and the risk to Louis' safety. He's 3 times my size and I'm missing a leg. So there's no way I'm even going to attempt violence, let alone threaten anything, and I'm not that kind of person anyway. As I said, the only one who's cussing and threatening and endangering safety is Louis LaRoque. And so police arrived, they had no interest in what was actually going on. They had to act according to Louis's wishes, and so they were attempting to justify having my vehicle towed. They were attempting to justify having me arrested for disturbing the peace and issuing violent threats and everything. And I demonstrated to them, here's my camera rolling next to me. I could prove to you that none of what Louis is alleging actually took place. And then the focus went on to the registration and plates on my car. And as I said, I escaped human trafficking in Colorado. And since coming here, I've been trying to, get my ducks in a row, so to speak. But Burns and his cronies stole my identification papers when I arrived here, my birth certificate, social security card, and, subsequently stole replacements that I'd ordered that came in the mail, because mail gets routed through the terrace for all of Burns Incorporated residents. And so, by hook and by crook and discrimination in the job force and everything else, I've had very limited success at even getting a paycheck since being here, because I'm disabled and not from here. And so discrimination and slander at work and all kinds of nonsense going on. My only income has been Social Security, which disappeared a month and a half ago because of the Social Security super hack. And so I've been putting forth every effort to get my documents together, to get my Montana driver's license, to get Montana plates on my car. And finally, despite Burns's thefts and everything else going on and my lack of income, I did manage on August 6th to get my Montana driver's license. Unfortunately, the super hack happened soon after that. So if I would have gotten my disability check, I would have been at the courthouse on August 26th when, direct deposit hits early on Chime Bank. And I would have been at the courthouse getting Montana registration taken care of on my car. As it was, I was prevented again from doing so. I've been putting forth every effort to, as I said, get my ducks in a row, get everything taken care of to residency in Montana. I'm even a registered voter here. But I have been, actively prevented and sabotaged from doing what I need to do by Burns and his cronies and everyone discriminating against me in the job force and preventing me from having a stable income. But despite all that, if it weren't for the super hack that just happened, that is no fault or any control of mine, if it weren't for that, I'd have Montana plates on my car now. So as it is, I don't. And because of that, the police who, as I've explained this to responding officers many times, every time they have to respond to a call here, I explain the situation with my car and my driver's license and my progress and setbacks and getting that taken care of. But these officers had no interest in any of that. They are bound and determined to decide that I'm just some deadbeat who's just slacking and not doing what I need to do, and I'm just hanging out here slumming. And, so I've been threatened if I continue driving or anything, I'm going to be ticketed and towed. I'm missing a leg, and that prosthetic leg is in desperate need of repairs. It's held together by boat goop and fabric swatches, sir. So I literally need my car in order to survive for drinking water, food, going to my shop, trying for stable employment elsewhere. Every aspect of survival, I need my car for, which is why previous officers have been very understanding of my situation and very supportive of the progress I've made in spite of all the sabotage. But these officers were basically just angry that they couldn't arrest me for being violent to somebody I wasn't violent to. You know, they reacted with
Were you written any
extreme.
tickets?
No, I didn't receive any tickets, but
Were
if
you
I.
arrested?
No, but if I dare to leave the house and go anywhere, I will be arrested and ticketed and towed, according to those officers.
Okay, but you haven't been?
Not at this time, but if I have the audacity, I'm out of drinking water, sir. I need to go to Albertsons to get drinking water. So I have full awareness that if I drive and leave my home, that I will be dealt with. The officers made that very clear, and I have that on camera too. I've been posting my documentation on YouTube because of my life being so much in danger with Burns and Louie and the harassment and the violence that they've been putting on. I've been making this public in order to protect my safety.
So I can take any complaints, like based on any type of unlawful tickets or unlawful arrest or anything like that, but it's hard for me to take action on anything that doesn't have any action. That makes sense. If you're subject to anything that's illegal, then absolutely I'd like to take a look at it. But,
Well, I was subject to a false report made by Louis LaRoque, which the police responded to while ignoring, my.
they investigated that, right?
No, they did. All they did was come with the.
They took his complaint, and as a result of that, you weren't arrested or issued any citations, correct?
Only because I had camera rolling next to me. That's the only thing that defended me, was that I was able to stop.
Not towed, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's just hard for me to deal anything on there because all of the things that you're complaining about didn't happen. You weren't arrested. They looked into the false complaint or the complaint against you. Were able to verify that it was not true. And so it looks like they did a good job of finding what was going on and appropriately did not act on it. I think everything that you were hoping would not have happened did not happen. And so I don't know what corrective action you'd like me to take.
It's the threats and verbal aggression and the targeting me the entire time and desperately trying to bust me for something that I wasn't doing. They reacted with extreme prejudice and bias the entire time, and issuing the threats that will put me in danger if I leave the home.
There's a big difference between a threat and a warning. You've lived here for over a year. I know I've had incidents where I've talked to you before. That might even been more than a year ago. You're required to change your license plates within either 30 or 60 days, and so I think their warning is with merit.
I was actively sabotaged in my efforts to do that, which is entrapment. When I'm prevented from taking a legal course of action, that's entrapment.
Was it the government that did that to you? Like, was it us?
It was Burns and his people stealing the mail, stealing my identification papers.
Entrapment is something that's caused by the government forcing you to commit an act that otherwise you wouldn't have done yourself. And so that doesn't fit the definition of entrapment. Obviously, my officers have been understanding because other people that have lived here for less amount of time have been issued citations. And so it shows me that they've exercised actually great restraint in not writing you tickets, because we could have.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that the police have been understanding of the situation and me being actively sabotaged in doing what I needed to do until this instance.
At some point, that the understanding has to give way to some action on your point as well. I mean, it's been a long time.
If it weren't for the Social Security super hack, I would have had Montana plates paid for on my car on August 26th. And as it is with the documentation, I've been
more than a year later.
With the documentation I've been putting forth on these issues of the harassment and the danger in my home and everything else, and the mistreatment I've been catching all the way around, I finally have agencies who are helping me with this. They are mandatory reporters taking information on the ways I've been discriminated against and mistreated due to being disabled and not being from here. So, my documentation proves how badly I've been, I've been discriminated against and had my rights violated by the landlord and, by, people in authority dealing with the harassment and discrimination.
I mean, whatever landlord-tenant law violations you have, you'll have to take those up with a judge or sue him or something like that. It's not something that normally hits criminal law, which is what we investigate.
Illegal eviction actions do fall under criminal law.
They do not. It's a landlord.
They literally do, though. Well, I can see I'm not going to get anywhere with you.
Have had a lot of restraint and have been given nothing but warning. So, if you have issues with the Burns landlord-tenant law, it might be a good idea to seek advice of a lawyer and perhaps take him to a civil court where you might have a claim. I know that there was an eviction he tried to do, and we refused to participate in it because we also didn't feel that he had the proper paperwork at that point. So I don't know what my guys have done to discriminate. You haven't been issued any tickets. They've been understanding. So, is there something different you'd like us to do or anything else you'd like me to know?
My documentation proves the bias in their actions, and if I'm not going to get, any further understanding from you, then there's no reason to continue this call. That's all right, though. Having this evidence of, endangering my safety and, punishments being above and beyond the call of what's reasonable with an intent to punish me for being, disabled and, disadvantaged in life situation. They are, I'm lost on words here as to how obvious they're making the prejudice and the disregard for my life and safety. And gaslighting about a situation in which my life was in very real danger. So I'll just be able to submit this further documentation to, the agencies who are helping me out. Of course, I need to keep stuff like that confidential, identities of caseworkers and agencies, for the safety of myself and for them and other clients. So, but do rest assured that I am finally receiving some form of help with this issue. Thanks for bearing with me on it. So, yeah, that was a crazy phone call. With him saying that entrapment can only be committed by police, that's literally false. A prime example is when someone is being trafficked. if somebody is out there selling drugs or prostituting or any kind of, activity that isn't legal locally, if they're doing it of their own accord, that's one thing. But if a trafficker or abuser is coercing them into doing it, that is considered entrapment. And it's a civilian doing it to another civilian. So for the chief to double down on his ignorance of the law in order to uh, act in a inappropriate manner, discriminating against me, it's really just, I'm at a loss for words at how flagrant and bold it is. So the following little bit here is a screenshot of an article uh, that's mentioning three of the officers who were present on Friday, one of them being the chief himself. So this is another incident of we investigated our own actions and found no wrongdoing. So I will be bringing this issue up to the state level. My partner has, helped me find how to do that. So, with report forms and who to contact and all that good stuff, as far as the state of Montana goes. And so, so yeah, here's a good look at three of the officers, the one in the middle being Chief Schultz, who, behaved in such a fascist, inappropriate manner on Friday and then doubling down today. So